Hello, welcome to Kathaayaana. This is Globe Trotting, where every Saturday I take you to different countries around the world and share stories from that land. And the countries chosen will be in alphabetic order A to Z. We had been on a break for some time, and before we went for the break, the story that I had shared with you was from a country that began with the letter E, and that was Egypt. Now that we have resumed with our activities, the next letter alphabet in line is F, and the country from which I am going to share a story with you is Finland. Finland is often an overlooked northern pocket of Europe, and it is sometimes referred to as world's best kept secret because everything about Finland is elusive, be it the nature in Finland, the landscape, the people, the culture, everything about it is elusive. Finnish people are quite different. In fact, they are a bit weird. They are quiet. They do not speak much because they are not talkers. They are doers. If one happens to compliment a Finnish person or congratulate a Finnish person for a work well done, for their achievements or for their accomplishments, instead of getting back a smile of a thank you, you will instead find that the person will sulk into a sense of embarrassment, a sense of self doubt, thinking that really, if that work was worth that achievement, worth that appreciation, and go back to find out mistakes and loopholes to see how that work could have been done better, how that work can be improved. And it is this collective mindset, this collective approach and attitude of the people of Finland that has made Finland stand top internationally in leagues of economic, educational, social, and political achievements. Finland ranks in top three in various aspects, various areas globally. Among the various examples, here are some. Finland ranks number one as the best place to live in the world because Finland has a very good democracy. The government is corruption free, systems are hassle free, and people get all kinds of facilities and rights. Finland ranks number one as the place to grow up as a child because Finnish children do not start school until they reach the age of 6 or 7, and even then they do not undergo any forms of tests or exams until their senior years because Finnish educators believe that free play and after school hobbies are more important for children for their development than giving them homework or assignments. Finland ranks number one as the best place to work in the world. People who work in Finland enjoy a very good and healthy work-life balance. In the office atmosphere, there is no hierarchical system. It is a flat working model. Employers trust their employees. They do not need to be managed, is what their thought process is. And to top all of this, Finland has been ranked the happiest country in the world for 3 consecutive years, from 2018 to 2020. So, what is it there in Finland and among Finnish people that is making Finland achieve such feats, so many feats? There should be something. Yes, there is. And it is a very beautiful word that every Finnish person loves talking about, thinking about, living about. And that is Sisu. Sisu is a Finnish word which does not have an equivalent translated word in any other language, but when loosely translated, it means courage, determination, resilience, fearlessness, and something more and more beyond that. Sisu is an invisible, untranslatable, inner psychological force that pushes any person to go beyond the boundaries, beyond the comfort zone, and look for more and more to do, more and more goals to achieve. The story of Sisu is the story of Finland. Sisu is not a feature that was developed in Finland over the past few years. It has its origin right from the time the people of Finland began inhabiting that land. This spirit of endurance and resilience has a foundation from two things. One, a northern landscape that is unforgiving in terms of agriculture and a climate that is inhospitable in terms of survival and habitation. And two, a history of being dominated and squeezed by powerful neighbors. So here is the story of Sisu. During the ancient period, the Finns' primitive ancestors lived in a landscape that was wild and untamed. They inhabited an environment where there was frost regularly beyond belief. The land was plentiful to survive off, but only few resources other than trees. So, to stay alive and be free in these conditions, one had to be able to develop the abilities to hunt, to build, to cook, and of course to live off in those conditions. And the Finns did everything. They persisted. They were resilient. They fought against all the odds with nature, with earth, and won every field of corn. Most races would have fled from this land full of morass and forests, a land that is regularly being frozen for 8 months. The earth is wrapped in frost for 8 months when there is no living being being heard. Everything is stagnant, everything is lifeless. But the Finns remembered that there are still 4 months in the year, those 4 months of summer given to them as a recompense to their endurance. Those 4 months are the months of their life. And sometimes in those 4 months, they worked hard, very hard for 20 hours out of the 24 hours and conquered the earth to make her yield to them their fruits of harvest. And this has been the foundation of Sisu, the birth of Sisu. Finland was at the center of a geopolitical frontier between Europe and Russia. And Finland had always remained a tribal entity without a single authority or a kingdom ruling over Finland. So it was very ripe for takeover. It was then in the mid 12th century that Sweden invaded Finland and ruled over the land for 650 years. Then, during the late 18th century, Swedish authority began to wither, and it was Russia's time now to invade Finland and to rule over Finland. But very soon the Russians realized that Finnish people are very stubborn. Finnish people assertively made sure to the Russians that this is not a wholesale takeover. Finland is going to remain a province of some kind and not going to be completely subdued to the Russians. And the Russian Tsar at that time, Alexander I, was quite liberal and allowed the Finns to keep their laws, their institutions, policies, and all that the Finns had created. But after his death in 1825, Finland became autonomous. The autonomous Finns started a revolution, started a cause of nationalism very, very strongly. The members in the cultural and political elite supported this cause. In 1835 came out a book called Kalevala, which was a key work of national literature. Kalevala is a collection of Finnish folk tales told in a poem form. Kalevala is the poetic name for Finland, meaning the land of heroes. And the main drama in this book is the adventurous journeys of three heroes. Who are those three heroes? First, Wainamoinen, described as the first man from the creation of the earth. He was a powerful, old, and wise man and possessed a magical, potent singing voice. Hero number two, Ilmarinen, described as the first blacksmith who crafted the dome of the sky and a magical object called sampu, a sort of a mill that produced salt, meal, and gold. And hero number three, Lemminkainen, who is described as a handsome, carefree, adventurer, and warrior. So this work, this heroic literature fed to the Finland's self-image. This book had such an impact on the people of Finland that gave them a pride in their identity like never before. And in 1870s, there was a renewed nationalism movement that began, a movement for independence. And there came another book titled Mame Curia, meaning the book of my country, of our country. And that book described everything about Finland, the nature, the landscape, the people, and the history of Finland. And this book was taught in every school of Finland for decades and contributed to building and strengthening the national identity. And then finally, in 1917, Finland got its independence. Finland was now an independent country in its own right. In the 1920s and 1930s, the world saw Finnish culture being exploded in every arena that is possible. And Finland, as an independent country, was getting ready to host the Olympic Games in 1940 when a dark cloud fell over Europe. Hitler had invaded Poland that set off a chain of events that quickly led to World War I. Russia had invaded eastern Poland and had invited Finnish ministers to sign a mutual assistance pact. But the Finnish ministers refused to sign it because Finland did not want to be a part of that chaos. This enraged Russia and they attacked Finland. And what ensued was the historical Winter War of 1939-1940. This war lasted for only 4 months, but the Russians saw an unforgettable stiff opposition from the Finnish army. The Russian army was very huge, while the Finnish army was very diminutive. For every 10 Russian soldiers, there was one Finnish soldier. When the Russian army had thousands of tanks and aircrafts at their disposal to fight, the Finnish army had hardly about 32 tanks and hundreds of aircrafts. But what the Finnish army had was loads and loads of Sisu. They used ingenuity, cunningness, and virtually everything they had to repel the Russian army. Even in that exceptionally cold winter, the Finnish soldiers fought on skis. The Finnish snipers, to have an undisturbed aim at their enemies, used unconventional tactics. They would fill their mouths with balls of snow so that the steam from their breath does not cause hazy visibility. And one such legendary hero from this Finnish army was Sisu who is credited for having single-handedly killed over 500 Russian soldiers, and which is a world record for any sniper kills in any major war. And it was this conflict that brought Sisu to international scene. It was being written everywhere. People started writing about Sisu. And the first couple of articles was written in 1940 when the Time magazine covered a story titled Northern Theatre Sisu. And New York Times wrote a story titled Sisu, a word that explains Finland. And so Sisu was not developed only for some years, It existed from a long time, which only evolved and strengthened and got deeply rooted into the minds and cultures of the people of Finland. Sisu in ancient Finnish means something from within, because ancient Finns believed that for the enigmatic powers of courage and determination to come, it has to come from somewhere from within. And so Sisu arose and formed a central part in the lives of the people of Finland and formed their collective culture. Sisu is thus now the national virtue of Finland. Hope you liked the story. If you liked it, please do give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends and in your circles. And if you have any thoughts, write to us at kathaayaana@gmail.com. This is Lakshmi taking your leave. I will see you next Saturday with a story from a country beginning with the letter G.